And were you very intentional with your career choice in that, where like you're a videographer, a photographer, which obviously really plays well into your lifestyle that you like to live. So were you quite intentional? Did that sort of just fall into your lap? How did that sort of come about?
It's been quite a journey. So it started off. My dad used to take photos when I was younger, like just on the 35mm film camera, and I was always kind of curious as to, how it all worked and how the photo became, a physical image. And you go and drop it down and get the 1 hour kind of developing thing from your local chemist. And I can't remember who it was that gave me a camera, but yeah, they gave me a small little point and shoot 2 megapixel, which sounds crazy now, 2 megapixel digital camera. And yeah, I was just always out shooting stuff, and that kind of slowly transitioned into Canon, I think it was a 40D. And I really wanted to capture myself and my mates surfing. So, I'd get a long lens and just shoot some stuff from the shore, and then before I knew it, I was like, I want to get in the water. I can buy a water housing. I didn't know I can buy a water housing, so get a water housing sent over, and then we started pushing ourselves to go on these trips and capturing us surfing, just to kind of put a timestamp on those years and where we went and what we did, and kind of continued that for a while. But then I went to university and studied photography and film broadcast. And somewhere in that 3-year degree, someone said that, once you finish your degree, within a year you can get a J1 visa for overseas, for in the US. I was like, oh, cool. So, I can go live overseas for a year without, getting kicked out after 3 months. So I was like, all right, why not? I kind of just pulled the pin on all the surfing and adventures, and went over there and shot fashion in New York for a year, which was just completely out of the blue, and had the best time over there. But that whole time I was kind of longing for these adventures and to get back with my mates and head up north and go surfing. And I didn't know how I could monetize it or create a living from it. It was just, you work your labouring job or whatever it was, and then, save up to go on these big missions. And we'd go up the coast and go surfing for a month and just camp in the desert and, just eat tin food and didn't have money for beers or anything like that. And then one trip I was like, maybe I can hit up a beer company and just see if they'll give us some beers. And I'd never really reached out to anyone before, so did that. And it was Corona, and they were like, yeah mate, we'll give you a couple of cartons. And so the next time we went up, all the boys were just like, yes, this is the best. We're all uni students and stuff, so we were so broke. It was down to all right, fuel's $44.58, so we had to split it up to the cent mark, where you still ask your mates for fuel money. But it wasn't until that was kind of the start of, all right, maybe I can somehow get companies to send us stuff, not necessarily pay me, but go, okay, well, there might be some stuff for the adventure we need, and they might send it to us if I ask them. It's super early days of Instagram. And then I found myself over east on I drove over from Perth to Sydney to see my missus. I said, I'll come over and I'll meet you over there. So I drove this car that I just bought off her dad. She flew over for work. I drove over there and I was like, I'll spend a week with you. And then I got over there and I was like having such a great time. She flew home and I had some mates over there. And I was like, I don't really want to go home just yet. And surfing and hanging out over there. And, then there was a bit of tension between me and the missus, and she's like, well, are we together or are you going to stay in Sydney? And I was like, shit, all right, we've got to make a decision here. So I flew home to, you know, convince her. I'm like, we're still together, but how about you fly back over in like a week or something and we drive back to Perth together and do this like big mission. And she's like, yeah, but you got no money. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'll work it out. I'll, you know, didn't have money for fuel, definitely not to drive across Australia. So anyway, she flew back over in a week's time. And in that week, I just hustled so hard. I walked around to like different health food stores and I Googled everything like camping equipment and booze and shoes and everything under the sun I could think of. I just like hit everyone up on Instagram. And for a lot of these companies, they probably hadn't really been hit up before. You know, it's a different story today where they probably get 30 direct messages a day people asking for stuff. So, you know, I ended up with 20 pairs of volleys. Dunlop Volley sponsored the trip and gave us all these shoes to shoot.
What? 20? Oh my God.
Yeah, no joke.
What'd you do with 20 pairs of volleys?
Yeah, they lasted me like 10 years. Like, not 10 years because it's still haven't been that long. But this was 8 years ago, and yeah, they gave us 20 pairs of volleys. So we ended up giving them to mates and stuff when we finally got back to Perth. Yeah. And they gave us money, which was awesome. So I was like, all right, I can pay for fuel. I hit up Remedy Kombucha, which they were just in their infancy at the time.
Whoa.
And so she gave us a little bit of money, but she also sent me like 12 cases of kombucha. And I only had a little esky in the back of the car. I didn't have a fridge or anything. Right, so I'm like, all right, now I've got to work out how to get ice in the middle of the desert to drive across Australia to keep these things cold. So anyway, we had 20 pairs of volleys, 12 cases of kombucha.
As you do.
And then I hit up Austrail and they were like, let us know what you want. Like, yeah, we'll make it work. And so 2 days later, a truck rocked up delivering all my Austrail gear, like cookers, an awning, 2 swags, you know, all your utensils, everything Austrail.
Wow.
And gave us a budget as well. And I was like, this is it. Like, I can do this. I'm going to keep this train going. And we drove across Australia and shot, you know, along the way, kept things trying to, you know, as organically as we could. And Essa, my girlfriend, ended up becoming the face of kombucha for that year. And she was on, from the photos we took, she was on fridges, like on the side of, you know, in stores and all over their marketing, and it was hilarious. And then same with Volley, and then Austrail were on the front of the magazines that they send out to stores and stuff. And yeah, it was a trip that was never going to happen if, you know, shit didn't start to get a bit of tension between me and the missus. So it kind of came to a point where I had to make it work or it might not work, and that's where it all began.